Let's talk one of my favorite positions on the football team, not named tight end. We're talking centers today.
Inside, and a beauty! Ball running free! Brees Hall inside the 10! He's gonna score!
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and today we're talking about another one of my favorite positions on the football field, and it should be a favorite position for a lot of Jets fans, and that's center, coming off of the back of Kevin Mawai and Nick Mangold and all of those guys. The New York Jets fans know what good center play looks like. They know what bad center play looks like, and this seems like the year that the New York Jets are poised to go out and get a center. So we're ranking Tigo's top 5 centers in this year's draft. Now, let me put a couple of caveats on here. A couple of the guys that I'm going to name are probably seeing and being projected as guards. There's specifically one player or two that are being projected as guards at the next level. Now, the reason I have them on this list and not the guard list is because I think a lot of the offensive tackles are going to transition to guard at the next level, and we'll talk about that in tomorrow's episode of Top 5 Prospects. But I also, when I objectively look at these players, if I was the New York Jets, I would want these players playing at center, specifically for their skill sets and what they provide. So with all of that being said, let's jump right into the list, and we're going to start this list off with everybody's favorite center in this class, it seems like, and that's John Michael Schmitz of Minnesota. What is there to say about this guy that hasn't already been said? Let's talk about the fact that when you look at him as an offensive lineman, specifically for what he's done for Minnesota, he has been there at center as a cornerstone for that team for the last 4 years. He is one of the older prospects coming out in this draft. I believe he is 24 years old coming into the NFL, right? I think he's one of the older prospects. Yeah, he's going to be 24 as a rookie, and he took full advantage of all of the COVID eligibility and everything that he had to go back to school to raise his stock, and it worked. Now, when we look at him and what he provides specifically from the center position, he absolutely has the frame to give you versatility as center or guard. At 6'4", 320, he could pack on a little bit more weight and be able to bounce outside to guard, and he has that ability, really, to bump inside or outside. There are some guys that are like guards only. There are some guys that are like center onlys. He definitely has that ability to bump outside, play guard if you need him to, bump inside, play center if you need him to. But in an ideal world, you would have him at center. And the biggest reason for a center, he has incredible hands. His hand placement out of the snap, he can get the snap off, get his hands up, and then get them into the right place really, really quickly and effectively. He's really, really strong in that aspect of his game. Now, what are some of the concerns with John Michael Schmitz's game? Well, he's not that great of an athlete, if we're being honest, right? He doesn't, this isn't saying that he can't do it well. He absolutely can. But he's not the best runner in space. When we look at some other guys in this draft, they are better in space. When you pull your center and your guard and like your different players and get them to get to the second level, John Michael Schmitz can do that. But he has this ability to kind of get exposed at the next level in the second level. He doesn't have the speed or athleticism to really get to the second level effectively and initiate and finish his blocks. He kind of needs to be schemed in a certain way to get those second level blocks to work for him. And Minnesota did a great job of taking advantage of what he's really strong at and covering up some of his deficiencies in that aspect. Now, does that mean that I don't think that he can improve in those areas? I think he absolutely can. If he can learn to take better angles, if he can learn to uh, adjust better to what he's seeing, I think he can be an excellent center prospect. He is my favorite center in this year's draft, and he is in that conversation to be one of the first, if not the first center taken off the board. And here's the real thing. He is my 1A to this guy's 1B, and that's Joe Tippmann. I love me some Joe Tippmann. I hope that he is a New York. Again, I hope most of these guys could be New York Jets centers, but Joe Tippmann provides something that's just kind of next level in the sense of the center position. Again, he has some of his concerns that he has, right? He's really, really tall. He's 6'6", 320 pounds. And sometimes because of his height, he has a hard time. Like, we know this in the NFL, low man wins, right? But at 6'6", it's hard to get as low, especially when you have to snap the ball as a defensive tackle, a nose tackle, something like that, who's going to be right in your face immediately. Now, the great thing is that when you're looking at moving in space, he's by far and away the best pulling center or guard in this draft class. Like, I mean that truthfully. You can pull him and get him to the second level, and man, can he hustle, and he can move laterally. I thought he had a problem with it. I was apparently just watching the wrong tape. No, man, can this guy move. He can snap the ball, get out of his stance, get behind the offensive line, move across, get up to the second level, and he can do that incredibly well. I also think that he's really, really good in those combo blocks. And what I mean by that is, like, starting off by hitting a defensive tackle, on the left side, transitioning to a guy on the right side, picking up the blitzers. Like, I think he's actually really good at those kinds of aspects of the game. The one problem that he has in that specific aspect of the game is he's not great at picking up stunts very quickly, and that can lead him to some problems in pass protection. That being said, when you take into consideration that Joe Tippmann is just nasty, he loves to hit guys, and he finishes his blocks. He doesn't just move you out of the way. No. He will carry you to the freaking sideline and then sit you down and then lay down on top of you. This kid loves, and I mean truly loves, finishing his blocks. Now, some teams might project him as a guard at the next level because of his size, and I think he can absolutely play guard. But I think that with the skill set, the athleticism, and what he brings to the game, I think he can absolutely play center at the next level, and he can cover up a lot of those deficiencies that he has. Joe Tippmann is my number 2 center in this year's draft. We're moving on to my number 3 center in this year's draft, and this is an interesting one because this is the first prospect that I don't see him having center or center guard flexibility at the next level. He for sure is just a center. And why is that? Well, Luke Whippler, the offensive center out of Ohio State, a Jet fan favorite because he grew up a Jet fan, is a great prospect. He's got really good hands. He's really athletic. He understands how to take advantage of other people's size because he is undersized at 6'3", 300 pounds. He's a little bit underweight, but that doesn't stop him from understanding leverage and understanding how to take advantage of a guy who has 30 pounds on him, who has 3 inches on him. He understands leverage, and because of how good his hands are, he can absolutely use that person's leverage and use that person's momentum against them. Now, the real problem with his game is his anchor, right? At 6'3", 300 pounds, if a bull rushing nose tackle, if a really, really fast interior guy comes in and creates gets into his chest early, he doesn't have the anchor to just set his feet and stop it. I think of a guy like Michael Clemens. Michael Clemens has an insanely long wingspan, and he's probably going to be able to get his arms into a guy like Luke Whippler really, really easily. And when you look at a guy like Michael Clemens' conversion of speed to power, and that's exactly what he has, and just getting into his chest, he can disrupt that middle really, really easily if that works on it. So a couple of things is he's definitely going to need to put on some weight and bulk up to really play center at the next level. But he just needs to do that, and he needs to get faster. That's the real thing. And it's not faster in running. I mean, faster in processing and in his process, getting the ball out, getting his hands up, doing those things. If he can get faster at that, it'll help him with guys that have the size advantage on him. And since he's really, really smart and has strong hands, if he can get faster and get his hands up before the defensive tackle, or the guy who's bumping in inside a defensive tackle can get his hands into his chest, he can then use his really, really good athleticism and his insanely good smarts to take advantage of the fact that he understands leverage and not lose on those reps. Again, great prospect. I love him for the Jets, but if he can improve his anchor and improve his speed, like I said, in getting his sets, getting into his sets, watch out, because Luke Whippler can be a really, really good center at the next level. And then the next guy on my list is Steve Avila. Now, a lot of people are going to look at Steve Avila, 6'4", 340 pounds, and really look at him and say, this guy's a guard at the next level. And I tend to agree with a lot of those people. I would not be surprised if a team took Steve Avila and played him at guard instead of playing him at center. But when I look at Steve Avila and his ability, and particularly his first 2 years playing at 2020 and 2021 at center, I think that's some of his best tape. Just honestly, I think he did so well in those snaps, and then when he transitioned to guard, he did an exceptional job there, like, as well. And like, he is so big, and here's the biggest problem, not problem, but like, well, yeah, problem for other teams, is his anchor. No one can move this kid. This kid, if you want to speed to power him, if you want to bull rush him, he invites it. He wants you to do it. He's got like, he's just stronger than you. He'll let you get into his chest. He'll let you do all of those things, and he doesn't care, because he's just going to grab the inside of your pads, and you're just stopping right then and there. The fear of the pocket breaking from the middle with a guy like Steve Avila doesn't exist. That's just not a real thing. And like, again, he's quick to get into his sets and like taking that first step back or getting his hands up and doing all of those things. He is incredibly thick, quick, and thick. And I mean thick the way that you're thinking, right? That's what no. Yeah, that way. Boy is thick with 2 C's. And he's quick and he's strong. Where does he fail? Well, at TCU, he got away with a lot because of how much stronger he was than everybody, right? So his sets are a little bit sloppy, right? He's quick with his sets. He's fast with his sets, but his feet placement and his hand placement are a little bit sloppy when you look at a guy who's probably going to go in the second round. He can sneak into the first round if we're being honest. So that's a concern. And then here's why a lot of people are projecting him as a guard at the next level, is because he has relatively small hands for a center. I believe, well, yeah, it's 9.25 inch hands. So the same kind of concerns that you might have with a quarterback about snapping the ball, you might have with passing the ball, you might have with Steve Avila when it comes to snapping the football. That being said, I love this kid's ability. His pass blocking is out of this world, and if you can teach this kid to get into space and really, really move, wow. If you can help him lose some weight but keep that strength, watch out, because you might have one of the best centers in the NFL. And at worst case scenario, you have a damn good guard. I love me some Steve Avila. And now on to the last prospect, and this one's going to surprise a lot of you guys because he's listed as a tackle, and I'm sitting here putting him as a center, and that's Cody Mock of North Dakota State. I love this kid. One, I love his story. He goes to North Dakota State as a tight end at 221 pounds. In one offseason, goes and puts on 80 pounds to play offensive tackle, does it, and then dominates his competition at every single stop that he did. Now, why isn't he a tackle? Why isn't he a center? Well, one, experience. I have a hard time looking at a guy who has short arms, which Cody Mock does, and is still really, really light when you look at his ability to play at the tackle or even at the guard position. It's a hard projection for him there, but his size, 6'6", 300 pounds, makes a ton of sense at center. He is also hands down the most athletic guy of these offensive linemen. He was able to put on 80 pounds and keep all of his athleticism. He is still fast. He is still quick. He is still all of those things that he had as a tight end, he kept as an offensive lineman, which is great. Now, the reason he's not a tackle, the reason why he's probably not a guard, he's got sub 33-inch arms. He's got 32 and 3/75 inch arms, which is just short arms. And this is a project center. Let's be honest. This is what Cody Mock is. I love Cody Mock because I think he can do it at an insanely high level, but I think that he is a year away from being able to play the center position at the NFL level. This is the type of guy that you say, you know what, if Luke Whippler, if John Michael Schmitz, if Joe Tippmann, if Steve Avila, if these guys are gone, but you want a guy who's just insanely athletic and has a ton of upside, you can take a guy like Cody Mock. You can then go and sign a guy like Ben Jones, and then you get him with a nutritionist, with a strength and conditioning coach. You help him get stronger, and you really, really got to just work with him on his pass protection. Remember that he only has one season under his belt as an offensive lineman, which is insane, and he's an older prospect as well. So when you put those things together, he doesn't have a ton going for him, but what he does is an insane level of athleticism, an insane level of speed and quickness and agility because he was a tight end before he was an offensive lineman. So Cody Mock, I love this kid. I think he has all of the ability in the world. I think he can absolutely play center at the next level, but this is more of your project center with a ton of upside, and I like that. I like guys with a ton of upside. Let me know what you guys think of my list of centers. Who do you like? Who do you not like? Let me know in the comment section below. And last but not least, go Jets.